Hello and welcome to this this late morning taste challenge. Well, it's afternoon if you live in the East. We have from 1963, King Cobra malt liquor, 5.6% alcohol, the current version. It's higher alcohol in some parts of the country and in other countries. There is an 8.5% high gravity version in the United States as well. And there is perhaps even still the Colt 45 double malt liquor, which I've not seen for a good while, but it's never been sold in Louisiana. So here we've got an 18-ounce clear bottle. Okay, best by August 19, 2019. Nice smoke. It's fresh, guys. And I think this is from the, it's got that hexagonal lacing. No skunk though. This is from Albany, Georgia. Miller does the contract brewing, most of the contract brewing for Pabst. Some is done by City Brewing in La Crosse, Wisconsin, and other places. King Cobra Premium Malt Liquor is the competitor, introduced in 1984. 6% alcohol. Don't let the smooth taste fool you, King Cobra. I'll put these back in the fridge so they don't warm up. Certainly don't want malt liquor to warm. There's the garbage truck. Got more head of foam on the Cobra, King Cobra. There's a guy doing some work outside. I hope he doesn't turn that machine back on. I'm gonna have to close my eyes. I think that I'll be able to tell them apart. I think the Budweiser. I know I'm wearing a cap. Has nothing to do with my favorite malt liquor. I don't have a favorite with these two. Whoever wins, wins. Let the best man win. I'm just wearing it, and I'm wearing a Bourbon County. I don't have any Colt 45 gear anyway. Got some paint on my hands. I was painting something earlier, so that's what those weird colors are. Smells kind of standard. Little yeasty. Might be the, I keep saying the Pabst, the Colt 45, which was a Heilemann. Heilemann bought National Brewing, and then, hold on a second. Yeah. Never mind, he was shouting because the drill bit dropped. I thought he was calling me. All right, I'm gonna mix them up again. Yeah, commotion, man. Garbage truck. Contract. Pretty dry, you know. Anheuser-Busch is dry beer. Colt 45, I mean, even their King Cobra, their malt liquors are dry. But this is drier, and this has that little twang, that Colt 40, that discombobulated. That King Cobra twang to it. It's not a bad malt liquor twang, but you know, some of them are really strong. And the inferior malt liquors, it'll really be bad. A bad little twist at the end, like some of those real treacherous ones, like Crazy Stallion, formerly Crazy Horse. That's a MX Ice malt liquor. It's kind of funny, but you're good. You know, your mass-produced malt liquors, your ones from Pabst and Miller Coors and Anheuser-Busch. Yeah, they're pretty solid. You get the ones from Rochester under the Genesee, you know, Rochester Brewing NAB. They won't be Genesee malt. It won't be called Genesee malt liquor, but it'll be some name, and they could be pretty funky monkey, you know. You know, it's got a little metallic note. And what did I say about the King Cobra last time? I said it had a metallic thing going, which didn't really appeal to me too much. And I said, could it be the can? And people say, can, bottle, it don't matter. And I'm part of that faction. I'm saying it doesn't matter also. But on the other hand, I am picking up some metallic, and it could be coming from the can. I don't know. It's a little strange. I also had cleaned my hands with that, you know, that Varsol Gojo jelly type stuff to get the paint off. Didn't take the paint off, but it gives you that gasoline smell, so I got to get away from that. Yeah, there's yeastiness, that Miller Coors yeasty note, which does, especially with Coors, you know, Coors and Keystone Ice. But even it bleeds over into the Miller side. It's like a banana note, a Belgian beer banana note. It's not too pronounced. It isn't pronounced. I say not too pronounced. It isn't pronounced at all, but it's present. So I don't think you would confuse a Pabst Brewing Company beer with an Anheuser-Busch beer. And this would be Miller produced. But it's, Pabst says we got our own team in there. They're supervising it, making sure they're doing it right. Yeah, okay. But I mean, how much work would their quality control team have to do? It's not like Miller Coors is going to screw it up. You know what I'm saying? These are master brewers. If they say, here's the recipe, do it to perfection, they're going to do it to perfection. It could be any beer. Anheuser-Busch could do it too, but they don't do contract brewing. So that's not an issue. So he's going to turn that machine on and it's going to make a racket, so I'm going to have to shut the video off. John and Neely says, good morning, Ron. Good morning to you, John and Neely. Captain Bailey's Adventures. Colt 45 works every time. You're right. I remember 10 years ago, they used to have Colt 45 advertisements on the radio here. And they even had a talk show in the afternoon. I'm not joking. It was whatever, afternoon talk. And it was sponsored by Colt 45, if you can believe it or not. It's the truth. Blue Ribbon says, you're on fire, Jay. Keep on trucking. I'm going to keep on trucking. 47 straight 8 says, off to the salt mine. I catch this on the replay. Have a great day, y'all. You too. Catch it on the replay. It won't be a long video anyway due to circumstances beyond my control. But that's okay. It's good to have a short video. I don't need to be blabbing on about this. I'm going to call it. This is an easy challenge. I'm very confident that this is the, now the appearance, they're both golden. I mean, the Colt 45 is a shade lighter, though. The King Cobra is darker gold. I thought they were identical. But this is clearly the King Cobra. If there's a drier line of beers than what Anheuser-Busch puts out, I would love to know what those are. Maybe they're in Korea and China, perhaps. Because I know in East Asia, they're like really into super dry beer. That has to be dry, dry, dry. Okay. I guess a sweet beer would just turn them off to no end. I don't really even love them. Okay, but there is that metallic, telltale metallic, and I think that's giving it away to a large extent. I would guess it correctly even if it wasn't for that, but I don't think that's benefit. And so maybe that's an argument for bottle and can. And I could easily get bottles of King Cobra, but unfortunately they're 40-ounce bottles. They're not too practical for these taste challenges. But you know, you can cap them off, and that'll keep the carbonation in for a couple of days. So I'm going to say this is the Colt 45, and I wrote on the tag C45. So there it is, C45. Works every time. You can't mistake it. It's that yeasty, bready dough thing. I mean, it's so obvious that it's a joke. And my friend David loves Colt 45, man. He just is into Colt 45. It's his favorite malt liquor. And he just can't get enough of it. And I can see why. It's so delightful. King Cobra, he liked it. He did like it. He said it's a good beer. He didn't love it. He gave it a B, you know, in the B range. He probably prefers that yeasty dough note over that super dry finish. I don't know if he would pick up on the metallic. I'd be curious to see if he would. We did bottle King Cobra when we taste challenged it, however. I'm sorry, King Cobra, but you don't win. You don't win. It's no runaway. It's not like Colt 45's destroying King Cobra and that, you know, you should never buy King Cobra. Colt 45 is the way to go or anything like that. But it is a winner. It does win. You say 5.6 to 6. You'll take the higher ABV. I can understand if you'll go that way. I'm thoroughly satisfied with 5.6, though. 6.0 is my tipping point. If you get a crisp lager like these, and you go these Hellas box and malt liquors, and you go above 6, they start to go downhill. In my opinion, they're not too pleasant. Ale, different. They do fine at 11%. But something about lagers, they don't hold the high ABV or present it too well. Generally. So 5.6 is totally where I want to be with beer. Honestly, 5.9 is fine too, like with Keystone Ice and Natural Ice, for instance. Beautiful products. So Colt 45 is the winner. And we've got 2 more challenges coming up and over the next week, hopefully sooner than later. But we're looking at Steel Reserve 211 versus King Cobra. King Cobra versus Steel Reserve 211. We're talking about the 6% Steel Reserve. And that could be a really good challenge because they're both 6%. I still think that Miller yeast profile is going to show up and shine through. So we got the Steel 6, the Steel Reserve 6% against King Cobra. And then we've got the 5.9% Old English 800 brand malt liquor against King Cobra. Once again, I don't think it's going to be much of a contest. That's a fascinating product, the Old English 800 brand malt liquor, because if you look at ads, yes, I know it came out in 1964, Old English 800 brand malt liquor, but it's actually older than that. That's the modern version of the last 55 years. But Old English was actually around since the 1940s. It was called Ruff's Old English, and it used to be called the 600 brand stout malt liquor. They used to call it stout malt liquor. And if you look at old labels from back 70 years ago, it was 8% alcohol by weight. If you look very carefully at those labels, it says 8% alcohol by weight, which means it was about 9% by volume. Can you imagine what a knockout beer that was? It really was a stout lager, meaning very strong lager. There is still an 8% Old English, though, that you can get in Texas, the Old English High Gravity. And that's a knockout beer. It's well made. Okay, so let's see. Cap says, wish I could get the 6% steel here, only the 8 you can get. Yeah, the 8% is a little rough, a little too boozy, a little gamey, I call it gamey. Like if you eat deer meat, you know, it gets a little bleh. I can only get the old Colt 45 in 40s glass bottles, 8% alcohol here in northern Alberta, Canada. Oh, the 8% Colt 45. Yeah. That's the foreign version, the export version. They get that in the Philippines also. In the Philippines, the 8%. Well, you hear the racket going on. It's got that gasoline motor running. So we're going to get off of the air here and let him do his work. Thanks for watching this video production, and you all take care now. Colt 45, the winner. And let me know if you get the 18-ounce bottles in your town. We get a lot of 18-ounce bottles here. That's a beer and a half, a serving and a half bottle.